Hey everyone, it's Don from the MS Guide, and you can see who I'm here with, and some of you will recognize it. Say hi, Ardra.
Hi, Ardra.
I am interviewing Ardra Shepherd, and she lives in Canada, and she has just written a book. So, I mean, Ardra and I have both had MS since we're 23. But what I'm saying is we've got some skin in the game, and hopefully if you read Archer's book, it's going to help you think, okay, I'm not alone. Because that's one of the worst things is what the hell's happened to me. So, Archer, I'm just going to roll it over to you. Can you tell us why you decided to write the book?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to be here and to chat with you and to chat with others with MS. I wrote this book because I really wanted to write the book that I needed to read when I was diagnosed,
Hmm.
and I wasn't finding it. It's kind of, I started as a blogger in 2015, and it just is kind of born of that. I kept diaries my whole life. It's a memoir. It's really about my experience with MS over the last 20-ish years.
Yeah, I mean it's been an interesting ride, and I was diagnosed when you were diagnosed. I mean there was just one or two drugs available. I think when you were
Yeah,
diagnosed, there was none when I was. They came online fairly shortly afterwards, but you know, it's what
it
is it now?
was
20 drugs?
Yeah, it was they called them the crab drugs when I was
Yeah.
diagnosed. There were four. Yeah, and it was like pick one and they
Yeah.
all kind of are not awesome, but I don't want to
No,
diss
but at
those
the
drugs,
time they
but
were
yeah.
better than nothing.
I guess like when you're 23 and you're diagnosed and like here's a thing that's better than nothing still feels kind of inadequate. It was um I
I
was
mean,
shocked that
I was thinking, sorry, we keep talking over each other. By the way, I'm in the UK, so when Orange is in Canada, let's blame the internet for this. I'm sorry for
the five time zones, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's the end of the day for me and a little bit earlier for you. But no, Arthur, I was gonna say it's the I've got a daughter, and I just think, sadly, females tend to be more sensible than males. And I just, shock horror, and I just plowed on, and God, I ignored it for so long. Were you the same?
I couldn't ignore it. I basically went blind in one eye overnight.
Okay.
A month later, I had vision loss in both eyes and I had difficulty walking. I was hit very hard, very fast. So
Right.
I had, I think, a diagnosis probably within about 6 weeks, under 2 months for sure. There was no ignoring it. And
Yeah.
I was even, I remember my doctor telling me even back then, we did know that early treatment is better. And I expected to leave the hospital with a prescription. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that like early treatment was still going to be a few months away while we got sorted out of choosing which drug and the insurance to get on. It was such an overwhelming time. It was really,
Yeah, I can imagine. But you say
yeah.
insurance. I mean, I am half Canadian, folks, but I live in the
Yeah.
UK for a long time.
Yeah.
But insurance, I just remember where from my distant days of living in Canada that healthcare was free.
Yeah, so going to the neurologist, that part is free. Getting an
Right.
MRI is free. These drugs that cost tens of thousands of dollars are not typically free. So my private insurance, I was working, so fortunately that paid for the medications, but there's, an application and an approvals process.
Right.
There are like a lot of these, you said there's like over 20 MS medications available now, and we do have government funded assistance for those medications, but not all of them. And there is still a rigorous approvals process. You have to fit within a criteria. So it's
Would
not,
you say some people can't access the drugs they probably need because of income issues?
I think that neurologists can't prescribe the drugs that they necessarily want to because of, and like we're getting deep in the weeds
Um,
now, right?
oh, you're
This
you're
is
you're you're
advanced
you're you're you're
MS.
you're triggering me because there's many similar
No.
issues here.
I mean, yeah, there are restrictions on, which drugs,
Hmm.
and there's this messed up idea of escalating, right? Like you need to fail on, or a drug needs to fail you, we should say,
I always,
before you can get approved for something more effective.
it's
So
bizarre, isn't it? You've got to get sicker, irreversibly so, before you win the prize of the better drug, which actually you probably would have been less sick had you had that up front.
this is one of the realities of MS, and you can be 23 and this can happen, right? Where you are navigating, figuring out your life, your relationships. Like 23 is such an important time in your life to be working on your career, your family life, your
Hmm.
relationships, all of these things. Then you're hit with this illness and have to deal with that. And you don't realize right away the paperwork and the bureaucracy and like
I
how
gotta
much you
say,
have
my
to
daughter,
fill
I can't
up.
imagine she's big on paperwork at this stage. And paperwork was essays for university, not, oh God, here's another form from the government.
It's a lot. And particularly with MS, which is not a condition where there's a one size fits all prescription, it is really important for patients to skill up and to learn. It's like you need to take a little crash course in how to have MS. And part of that is accessing medications, accessing insurance, which medications are right for you, all this like boring, unsexy stuff.
Hmm.
But
Can
yeah,
I just
it's a
say
lot.
something? Yeah, I've been planning something else, which is about, and I've also worked in the tech industry as well as long ago, the pharmaceutical industry, but I have been using so much AI. And I would say to anybody, because it's overwhelming when you get
Yeah.
diagnosed with MS, you're just got this fire hose of information. What's a lesion? What's a rapidly expanding lesion? What's an, MRI? What's flare? What's T2? It's like, gee, and nowadays, take all that, take the letters, take the electron, drop it into AI and ask it. It's not perfect, but say, can
Yeah.
you explain this to me? Can you please put this in a way that a layperson, an ordinary person like you or me,
Yeah.
can understand? And I just think it's been doing some amazing things for just, I've loaded up 3 or 4 clinical papers and said, essentially, I'd like the idiot's guide, please. And
Yeah.
it comes out with them, and you say, I would like you to focus on the risk factors. I'd like you to focus on the success of this drug. Or I'd like you to help me understand what may be the weak points of this trial. Because people mention trials as if they are like it's something in the Bible and it's a truth that's given down from heaven. It's like, no, you can have crap trials.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think that's great advice and a great tip because I mean, everywhere there's wrong information and it's easy enough to
Mm.
stumble upon that. And there are false promises for things that will cure you also. And it's very tempting to look for easy answers when you have
Well, who wouldn't
something
want a
that's,
cure? I
yeah,
mean, it's horrendous. And if somebody
yeah,
says, "Oh, you can be cured," and big pharma's hiding this from you, and usually that's usually the prefix or the prelude to, and it will cost you this. It's like drug dealers. Literally, the first one's free, and then and how I mean, we're like you said, we're thrown into this world of lack of knowledge, and we're bombarded with this stuff, and frankly, it's terrifying. And somebody says,
yeah. It's
"Oh, you
like,
want to take evening primrose oil? Oh, you need to do this." You're running around going. I mean, I bought lion's mane mushroom supplement. I'm not immune to it because I thought, well, if there's a 1% chance, if as long as you can afford it.
that's I think what makes it so hard to tease apart because there is, of course, benefits to complementary therapies, right? Like
But which
there you
ones? How do you know? You're
exactly, right.
right,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. But like lifestyle choices do matter. They are not a cure-all, but they do matter. And so teasing apart the ones that are going to have the biggest impact that are worth your investment in time and energy and resources. It's a lot. It's like you get a mess and it's also this like side job that you don't get paid for. It
yeah,
sucks,
so
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, and I mean, I'm inherently lazy, so you're having to deal with 2 jobs now, and
yeah.
but it was a friend of mine, and I know Aaron Boston. I'm sure he's not the only one, but he said, yeah, exercise is the second most effective DMT. It's not a
Hmm.
guarantee, and it's
Hmm.
one of these things where I think a lot of people go, give me the pill, give me the injection. What do you mean
Yeah,
I've got
but
to sweat my
it's
heart out
hard.
doing something? Yeah,
Exercise
exercise is
sucks. It's
hard. Yeah,
hard.
yeah.
But it's, yeah, it's right. It's true. And I actually feel like It should be written on a prescription
Yeah.
pad and taken seriously. And I think the
If
same
you
is
had to pay
true.
for it, you want it more.
I mean, yeah, if you've ever paid for a gym membership, it's
Yeah, 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 exactly. Well, you feel guilty for not going, purely for not turning up.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I think it's also, worth putting on a prescription pad how important our relationships are because I think you said at the start of this interview, the feeling of loneliness that can come with MS, and that's so critical to our well-being. I know for me, I've learned over the years how important it is to have like a network of people that includes other people that have MS. It's just
And also other people
yeah.
that don't. I have friends,
Yes, of
and
course. Of course.
it's so nice, and
Yeah.
people say, "Oh, well, this person, they look down on me for this," and I think, well, they're not your friend, and
Yeah.
why waste your time with them? Because if your
Right.
MS is an issue for them, then they need to go and get in the sea because it's not my issue, But that's hard, I think, when it's people that you thought were friends,
Of
and
course.
but we are we are both the wrong side of 40, and I'd say you learn over time that, oh, Arjo, I'm so sorry, 39, aren't you?
No,
And
no, I think it's the right side of 40 because I do feel like, you know, I know so much more than I
yeah.
did at
Well,
23, and I'm more disabled than I was at 39. But, you know,
mm,
there's also greater peace and understanding in a lot
yeah.
of ways.
What I
I'm
was
more
getting at
chill.
is we have, and it always sounds so patronizing. I'm working with a bunch of students right now, and I said, guys, I don't want to patronize you and sound like your dad, but it's just the fact is, you know more, you've learned more. Things like this, the friends, these people, it feels like you can't. It's like most of us, some people marry their childhood sweetheart, very few, but a lot of us, I don't know, when I was 17, I thought, oh, this is it, this is love, it's like the first girl that's kissed me type thing, and it's like, no, but it's only when you've got down the road and you can
Yeah.
reflect back and go, actually, I was probably a shade misplaced in my passion and ardor for that person.
You
So
gotta
that's what I'm
you gotta
saying.
kiss a few frogs, right?
Yeah,
Before
but
you.
let them go. You're
Yeah.
not friends with everybody you ever met in your past, and you don't have to be. And I think when you're younger, I certainly felt like I had to be friends with everybody. But now, maybe it's just being old and grumpy. I don't care. It's like, if you don't want to be friends with me, I'm not lying awake at night worrying about it. And
I think though what we're kind of tapping into is this societal impression that somehow as people with MS who have a disability or an invisible disability that we are less capable or less deserving of the same kind of love and relationships and friendships, that
yeah,
maybe we have less to give, and that is like an insecurity that I think I've
massively.
experienced in the past.
Yeah,
And we come to terms with, and we have to really find the value and appreciation in ourselves and what we have to give and offer, especially, in cultures where we prioritize productivity and independence as virtues, when sometimes, like, I'm not always that productive and I'm not always that independent. And I would rather think of those qualities as neutral, which is hard
mm.
to do. I like to be high achieving, but I can't measure my worth against them. And that's something you have to wrestle with when you have MS.
Do you know how I've decided to measure my worth? Is how I make other people feel. If you
That's,
can
yeah,
leave this planet thinking you improved the life of other people and you made people smile, whatever, you don't
yeah,
need them because MS is really upsetting, and I've met some people that are quite angry, and you can't tell somebody to not be angry
of
because that
course.
usually makes them more angry. I used to be in the police, and yeah, telling somebody to calm down is like, yeah, right, it's like, or don't be drunk. Oh, you're drunk, okay. But it's you know what I mean. But it's one of these things
Yeah.
you think when this passes, and don't hold on to the anger because you can't, it's just not worth it. But it's only with experience can you say that. It sounds very flippant when you're 23. If somebody had told me that, I'd be like, yeah, yeah.
But I mean, I think we need to give ourselves permission to grieve and to be angry from time to time. It is a disease that robs us of things. You can't live there. But I think it's
Some people
okay to,
do though. I get
yeah,
it, but you
yeah.
you kind of wish they wouldn't. Not for me. It doesn't mean anything to me in that sense, but they would feel better, I think, if they not put it in a box and ignored it, but just certainly learned how to put it in a box of one of the many things, because they're more than that as a person. It shouldn't be
I
everything you
mean,
are as a person.
and then I wonder if that's like a personality trait that isn't that is independent of MS. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
yeah. I think like one message that I really wanted to make clear with my book is like
Yeah.
MS
Let's get
super
back to your book.
sucks.
Sorry.
Yeah. MS sucks so bad, but it's like
Mm,
it doesn't mean that my life can't have joy.
yeah.
You know, it's
And
really
meaning, you
and
know?
meaning and purpose and
Yeah.
like yeah, like everyone's life is hard. Life is hard. It is
Yeah,
so
yeah,
hard.
yeah. Regardless, life sucks if you think about it.
Yeah,
It's
like if you just like for everyone, you know? So but we can still find joy and connection and purpose and meaning.
do you know what a doctor said to me once? A doctor that we both know, but who shall remain nameless on here, was life is a terminal sexually transmitted disease. And, they were joking around, but I thought, actually, yeah, yeah, they're not wrong in that sense. So you've got to make the best of it since you're
Right.
here. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what they were really getting at was, it just, it's got an end point for all of us.
for
You
sure.
know?
I feel like that's like hard to hear from somebody who has an uncomplicated body, you know, who is not unhealthy. I feel like it's something we can say to each other as
Oh,
people with
yeah.
MS, you know, but you never want somebody to tell you like,
Yeah, no,
suck it
they
up,
weren't
who,
mocking.
yeah,
I've got to say, into
yeah,
their credit, they weren't being, um, what's the word? They weren't being a dick. They were just,
that's the word.
yeah, exactly. But well, I'll say it. It's my interview. So, but you're far nicer than I am. Um, Arja, we're going to run out of time soon. Tell me when the book is out, how people go about it. I mean, am I being flipped to say, I love my independent bookshop, but if you can't get there because you got MS, is it on the big A, Amazon?
It is like Barnes and Noble,
Right.
Amazon, Indigo, independent bookshops. You are in the UK, it's going to
Yeah.
be slower because we're still working on international rights. You can get it
Right.
from Amazon, but you're going to pay for shipping.
Right.
But
So
in
who can get it now? Canada and the US?
Canada and the US, the book comes out March 4th. So you
March
should start
4th.
seeing
Wow.
it in bookstores and online, and you can pre-order it already.
I will
I'm
put
really
all the
excited.
information in the links, everybody. Go to the description of the website because Archer's going to Archer's already
Can,
given me all the
can I
information.
show
So,
you the book? Can I show the
oh,
cover?
cool. Philosophy. Hey.
Philosophy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Did you have any
um,
influence on the cover design? Because I know you're very design oriented.
I had input. I didn't draw anything, but I kind of gave a description of my vision, a couple of visions. So that's the one we
And
landed
who's your
on.
publisher?
Douglas and McIntyre.
Right. Okay. They're Canadians, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember I've heard about them. So you can now walk around saying, well, my publisher says.
Oh, I'm the worst. I'm like my publicist, my agent, you know.
Darling, it's
I'll
so
have
hard.
my people call your people.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm organizing the Ride Canada for MSing, and I've got a PA for that, and it sounds weird to people going, "Oh no, call my PA." And
Yeah,
Lisa
it's
just
all
says,
going to my
"Yeah,
head.
yeah." Lisa just said, "You love this, don't you?" And I'm like, "Well, you're a big help. It's such a big thing, but yeah, you can do it all on your own. You need a publicist. You need a publisher. You need, you just part of the MSing, folks. Know when you haven't
Yeah.
got the bandwidth to do something
Oh my
and getting
God.
other people to do it."
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Ardra, look, I'm really grateful that you've invested the time to share this. I will put it all there. If you give me a screen, if you give me a graphic of the book as well, I'll pop it up on the video. So, because part of it is you're in bookshops going, that's the book, because of the
Amazing.
cover. So
Yeah, can I also add
oh, go
this
for it.
could like yeah, that it is was very important to me when talking to the publisher that we make the book accessible to as many people as possible. So there
Hmm.
will be an audio version
Right.
and an ebook version and a large print
I was
version.
going to say,
So
yeah. So,
yeah,
are you narrating the audio one?
I mean, I really want to, but it's not up to me. So
Okay.
we'll see.
Yeah,
That those details are being worked out.
right. Okay. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I was thinking audiobooks narrated by the person that wrote them, Bill Bryson, for example, which I love. It's great because they have all the right, and, you know what you wanted to say.
So we should tag the audio publisher in this just to
Right.
be like, hey, you know.
You give me the details, they'll get it. They'll get it. Oh, I think you're absolutely right. It's crucial. I've listened to one book once where I sent it back because I just said, I've listened to the other ones. They're better narrated.
Mm.
And this doesn't give the whole, you want that picture in your head when you're reading a book.
Yeah, I think I mean, in their defense, they probably want a voice actor who knows what they're doing. And, you know, we'll see. I
Yeah,
don't know. I would like to do it,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah. Sadly, I don't think you've got the clout of Bill Bryson or Stephen Fry or somebody. So it's,
exactly. Not
yeah,
yet.
yeah, exactly. Do as you're told, Audra.
That's right. You're lucky to have a book deal at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, stop making waves.
Yeah.
So, Archer, look, thanks very much. I really appreciate your time.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Indeed.